Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. This is Bobbie again, and our subject today is mealtime. Now, for some people, this can be an enjoyable time, and for others, it can be a struggle. It just depends on the mood of the patient that day. Keep in mind, it should be fun time. There should never be a case of trying to force a person to eat. Sometimes nutrition is important, but sometimes it's just more to your advantage to let them eat whatever they enjoy. Starting with breakfast. Breakfast time should be something that they like to eat, whether it's oatmeal or cereal or scrambled eggs and toast, whatever they like. My particular client doesn't like bread, so I would not fix toast for her. The only way I can get bread in her is if I do French toast. She likes it because of the sweet syrup. So you have to think about what it is that you can get them to eat that they will enjoy. Now, she doesn't like eggs if they're boiled. She doesn't like eggs if she can see the yolk, but she likes whites of the eggs. So I scramble the eggs and she will eat them scrambled. So it just depends on the patient and what you can get them to eat. Lunchtime can be a little tricky because I like to try to make sure that she gets at least one piece of fruit in her every day, whether it be an apple or banana or grapes or whatever, some type of fruit. Well, she loves bananas, but I have to hide them in the refrigerator because she'll eat too many of them. And then I have to worry about the bathroom problem, right? Because she loves bananas, but I can't leave them out on the counter. I found that out because if I do, she will eat every one of them that's there. So you have to be careful also, again, especially if the person has diabetes or some other problem, because that, with all that sugar content, that could really hurt. So lunch should be something light. It can be a salad, soup. Now, I found out this weekend she doesn't like French onion soup. I love French onion soup. So I was a little upset when she wasted my bowl of soup, but she doesn't like that. So you find out what they like and try to give them that particular item maybe a couple times a week to make sure that they're getting at least something that they want to eat. Dinner, that can be a little tricky also because it depends on the diet, especially if they have a particular diet that the doctor says that they should be adhering to. If they're not supposed to have a lot of fat or greasy foods, then you need to try to stay away from the fried foods, things like pork chops and things that are going to be greasy. But try to do, if you have a fryer that you can use, an air fryer, then use those particular things to make sure that the food is still tasty, but not full of heat. Right.
They will eat, right?
Yes. And then a lot of them like to have finger foods. Now, I have to try to teach my person to eat with a fork. She wants to eat everything with her hands. And so,
like India.
Her sister wants me to work with her because they want to take her out to restaurants.
Oh, yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
Don't want to be embarrassed because of the fact that she wants to eat everything with her hands. So what I do, I make sure meats are cut into small portions that she can pick up with the fork. Anything that we're having, I cut them into small portions so that she can pick it up with the fork. And if she starts to use her hands, I remind her, fork. Again, you don't want to use long sentences like, oh, don't forget to use your fork. That's too much for them.
Right, too long.
So just say fork and point to it or put it in their hand so that they will start to use the proper utensil. A lot of times they just don't remember that that's what they have to do. All they want to do is get the food in them. Now back to nutrition. It's great to try to stick to a particular diet, menu. I try to plan out a menu for a whole week in advance. That way I know also how to shop to make sure that I have something that she will like at all times. Through trial and error, you will also find those foods that may not set well with them. as far as their stomach is concerned. I have found that the one medicine that she takes, I cannot give her anything with acid in it. So pizza, spaghetti sauce,
Right.
pineapple, anything that has an acid base,
Mm.
I can give to her during the middle of the day at lunchtime. I can't give it to her at dinner time because it will counteract the medicine. We've just found this through trial and error because I keep track of what I feed her.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's good.
noticed that I noticed that when I give her anything that has an acid base, then she will stay up all night. She will walk because the medicine is not making her sleep.
Right.
So you have to just use trial and error to find out what works and what doesn't work. The same thing with what they like and what they don't like. If they spit it out and they don't want it, don't force it. You may want to try it again later on, maybe flavoring it differently or arranging it differently so that they pasta, a good example.
Right.
I may not be able to give it to her with the spaghetti sauce, but I can always do mac and cheese or pasta salad. So she'll still get the pasta, but she will not have that acid base with the tomato sauce. So just be careful. The best thing to do is, as I do, plan a menu and keep it handy so that you can see what it is that may have caused them to have upset stomach, diarrhea, or whatever problem may creep up. You can go back and check to see if it was something that you fed them that was causing the problem. As I mentioned earlier, I know she can't eat a whole lot of bananas because she will have diarrhea.
Right.
So you have to just kind of watch what you feed them. If they don't like something or don't want something at that particular meal, offer them something else.
Right.
Now, don't try to be a short order cook and don't try to fix different things just to please them. But they have to get used to the different foods, especially if they're not used to eating a particular food.
Right.
By me being a vegetarian, I love vegetables. So I will definitely feed her all types of vegetables, but I still fix the meats for her,
Right.
even though I don't eat them.
Right.
She has gotten to where she'll notice that I don't have the same thing on my plate that she has on her plate. And she will look real odd at the plates, wondering, okay, your plate doesn't look like mine. But she got adjusted to it because she won't see meat on my plate.
Right.
But try to make sure that you are eating along with them, if at all possible, because they will imitate what you do.
Okay.
So if you're not eating and you've fixed something for them to eat and you're not eating, they're going to look at you with a little question as to, well, why aren't you doing this?
Right.
So the
You
best
with
thing,
me.
the best thing to do is if you're preparing a meal that you eat right along with them, and preferably the same thing so that they're not wondering why your dish looks different from theirs. If you cannot eat with them, at least still sit with them while they're
Right.
eating.
That's true.
If you have a particular patient that has to be fed, make sure you're feeding them not in a rush,
Right.
but if you're not putting that food in them at a certain pace, they're going to get agitated. So don't hold back and say, oh, well, finish swallowing that one. No, get that next spoonful ready and have it ready to put in their mouth because they're looking for it. And if you don't give it to them, they're going to get a little agitated and go, okay, I'm ready for the next book and you're holding my food. So pace yourself with feeding them. Also, when you're giving them something to drink,
Right.
every now and then give them, a swallow of water to help wash the food down. And then reward them at the end with something flavorful like a juice or a soft drink, but still watching the sugar content.
Right.
But you don't want to give them a lot of flavored drinks while they're eating because they'll want to drink that and not eat their food because that's sweet and they want the sweet item.
Right. True.
Another good thing, have some type of dessert for them and make
Right.
it a reward. Oh, you ate everything. Oh, I'm so proud of you. You ate all your food. So now here's a piece of cake. Or here's a cupcake, or here's something. She likes cookies, so I make sure I have plenty of cookies in the house. So it's a reward, and they understand that if I eat, I will get the reward.
So is that consistent for that
Be
reward system?
consistent. Yes, be consistent. She gets a dessert. if she eats her food, cleans her plate, she will get a dessert.
Hmm.
And it's the same thing with the special juice, or in her case, she loves the different fruit juices. If she takes her medicine, she will get the juice. If not, she just gets water.
Uh-huh.
And she knows the difference because the juice is generally a color, whether it's
Right.
apple juice or grape juice, it has a color to it. She will reach for the glass. I pull it back just out of her reach and say, now you got to take the medicine. Once she takes the medicine, I give her the glass of juice and she's happy. But she has to understand that at dinner time, she has her medicine that she has to take right after her meal. So if she takes the medicine, then she will get the juice. If not, all she gets is the water. And she understands that because she wants that sweet juice. So you have it, sometimes it has to be a game. You have to work with them according to their mental state. And if they see that as a pleasant game and that food can be a reward for something that they're doing, especially if it's a sweet reward, they will really start to remember that. And it's because you're doing it repetitious and you're doing it on a daily basis. Try to serve the meals at the same time each day. And that can be difficult.
Right.
It depends on whether she wants to get up and get ready or whether she wants to sleep late. Weekends, I allow her to sleep later. So meals generally end up being brunch instead of breakfast. Yeah, it's still generally brunch because it'll be 10 or 11 o'clock before we actually have the first meal on the weekend because I'll let her sleep late. But generally the meal is earlier in the mornings when she has to go to daycare. So it just depends, but try to stay on a routine and a pattern that they can get adjusted to. That's good for you and it's good for them.
That's true. I want to ask you one question. I saw several Chinese series. They mentioned about a lot of Japanese mythology is the play and the they changing they kind of matching the color. It's not like if there's a bit orange and a bit yellow. Some you know what I mean? More like it's not the same color, so they would kind of understand.
Well, almost like anything else, color is something that they really will understand. And if you give them colorful plates, now the way I fix the plate, I have the vegetables. So let's say I'm having mashed potatoes, so that's white.
Right.
And then I'll have maybe string beans, that's green. And I'll have chicken, so that's maybe a brownish color, depending on whether I fried it or baked it.
Right.
So the colors, and that's the other thing. I also place the plate in front of them with the meat closest to them.
Okay.
Most cases, they like the meat. The vegetables come second.
Right.
So when I set the plate down, the meat is right in front of them. That is just something that I do. I found that it works for her because she likes stabbing that meat and putting a piece of meat in her mouth first. So she will get to the vegetables, but generally if I put the vegetables first, she will reach across them to the meat and then she'll end up with mashed potatoes or whatever on her hand because she's trying to reach across the vegetables to get to the meat. So I've learned to put the meat in front of her when I place the plate on the table. Everybody's going to be different. So like I said, it's trial and error. You work with it to see what's going to work best. If colors mean a lot to them and maybe their favorite color is orange, then you put the carrots in front of them. You have to use just a trial and error basis with every individual. They're all different. And like where she likes cold cereal, one of my other ones would not eat cold cereal. She wanted grits or oatmeal in the morning. So I had to do hot cereals for her. She would not drink milk. So cold cereal didn't work. So you have to just keep working until you find out what they like and what they don't like and what works best for you also as far as preparation. Because sometimes you don't have a lot of time to prepare the food.
Right.
And that's another thing that I try to do. Anything I can fix ahead of time, casseroles and things of that nature, I fix in advance, and all I have to do then is put in the microwave to heat it up when it's dinner time, because they're impatient when they're ready to eat.
Oh yeah.
And if they're trying to walk behind you and grab something, they can get burned on the stove or whatever. So you try to make sure the food is prepared before they're ready to eat, so that they're not going to endanger themselves trying to get to it.
I have heard about helping prepare a meal. Have you let her prepare a meal together or no?
Not in her case. Now, if they're
Oh,
just at first stage dementia, yeah, let them help
okay.
because they still can do that. If they're in the
Right.
first stages of dementia, oh, let them get in the kitchen and help out. If nothing else, let them set the table. Whatever that you feel comfortable with that they can handle. But once they get to second, third stage dementia, it can be a little dangerous with them in the kitchen. Especially if you're trying to chop something with a knife, you don't want
Oh
them sticking
yeah.
their hand,
Oh
you don't
right.
want them sticking their hand in the way.
Mhm.
Or you have water boiling on the stove or oil getting hot. So those things can be dangerous. But if they're in their first stages of dementia, oh, by all means, let them work with you in the kitchen. It will
Right.
help them. Yes, it will definitely help.
So she's in the second stage, so you're not gonna let her
Well, in
do.
her case, she's third stage.
Oh, sir. Okay.
Yeah, she's third stage. She's just at the point where the next stage will be to have to put her in a facility. But right now, she's not at a place where she can work in the kitchen. The other thing is I have to also be careful because she loves to touch stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
and the thing about it is I've got to make sure that the stove isn't hot even after I
Right.
finish
Gotta
cooking
be
because
half in. Yeah.
it's still hot. So I try to make sure that as soon as I finish cooking, I put the food on the table so that she can sit down and start eating, and that will give the stove a chance to cool off because she likes to touch everything, and then I have to be so careful with her touching. So you have to keep Lysol or something disinfectant so that you can wipe things down because you don't know where she's had her hands at all times. So
Yeah, true.
she loves to touch things. So just in the kitchen, before I start cooking, I have to wipe everything down because I know she's been walking around, touching the counter, touching everything. So I have to wipe everything down before we start cooking.
I see. All right then.
But
So I guess
it's a lot of fun if they're in first stages because then at least they can work in the kitchen. They can help in the kitchen.
right. Yeah, I understand that.
You're freezing up.
I know. Me too. I kind of feel like I'm freezing right now. All right. Bobbie, thank you. Are you there? Bobbie? Bobbie?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Sorry. All right. So thank you for sharing for the mealtime. It was been fun. So we'll see you next week. So think about something to talk about.
All right, we'll see.
All right. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
All right.
Good week. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.